Okay. Okay, you're good. Or not.
All right, thank you. There is a recommendation from the executive session. The recommendation is approve the executive committee recommendation to hire Larry White as the executive director, the Metropolitan Library, effective February 1, 2021, with salary to be determined by the executive committee within the next 30 days. This is coming from your executive committee in the form of a motion, requires no second. Is there any additional conversation? And again, this lights in my face, but if there is, I'm not seeing any, hearing any. Let's call the roll.
Alford.
Aye.
Anthony. Edmondson. Fletcher. Harris. Johnson. Larios. Mon. McCaleb. Morgan. Patel. Patterson. Rubio. Scambler. Shockley. Smith. Tolan. Woodruff.
All right, thank you all. Larry, congratulations. Appreciate you. Look forward to your continued leadership.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, we will move on. Item 4.5, discussion, consideration, possible action, nominating committee report and recommendations. Judy, is that coming from you today? Yes. I'll call.
We had a very easy time this time on the nominating committee. We are recommending that the current officers retain their position. That is Ann Kane as chair, Brian Alford as vice chair, and Dennis Shockley as dispersing agent.
Thank you, Judy. It's coming to us in the form of a committee recommendation, requires no second. Is there any additional conversation? Call the roll.
Alford.
Aye.
Anthony. Edmondson. Fletcher. Harris. Johnson. Larios. Mon. McCaleb. Morgan. Patel. Patterson. Rubio. Scambler. Shockley. Smith. Tolan. Woodruff.
Thank you. That will lead us to our last piece of business, item 5.1, discussion, consideration, possible action, administrative request for a policy modification. This is to allow the executive director to modify provisions related to the requirement for a healthcare provider statement and use of advanced leave for the duration of the pandemic. And Larry, I'll let you give us just a brief, well, let me say, is there a motion and a second? There's a motion and a second. Thank you. Larry, is there, would you just kind of give us a thumbnail of what this entails?
Sure. We had kind of a double whammy on the 31st of December. The waiver, which is exactly what we're requesting to be extended today, expired on December 31st. And at the same time, we also lost the FFCRA, which is the federal leave for COVID for staff to be able to take in order to help fill in some of the gaps, especially for our staff members who either don't have leave or not leave earning, or who have had to use a lot of leave. This was a main source of support for them. And when that was expired in December, we kind of hit a double whammy, and the fact that the provision to give staff the flexibility of leave also expired. So we've come back to ask if we can put that flexibility back in so that we can give staff a way of having an adaptive way of responding to any leave issues that may come up due to COVID.
Can you give an example?
What this would do for, say, a person who is leave earning is that by giving them the ability to take leave against advanced earned leave, that would give them the possibility of getting leave that they would then later earn. That would, by doing that, they get their leave earlier. They don't have to wait for X number of days or hours. They can take their leave in conjunction with that option. The other part of this is that it allows people to take ADL, which is the vacation part of leave. It also gives them the availability that if they run out of sick leave, that they have the ability to use ADL, especially in this advanced form.
Larry, is there any type of clawback provision if the employee were to depart having borrowed leave?
We do not have anything in place now, but we have not had anything major come of it so far. Now, I could be wrong, and we may have an issue that I'm not aware of, but to the best of my ability, we have not had any issues with this.
As this is written, there is an end, as in end of the pandemic. How are we defining that? Where you would go with this policy?
Sure. My judge of that would be when the state or the county declares there's no longer a COVID issue. So I'm not exactly sure when that will be, but to my understanding of it, it would be when there's no longer a declared emergency because of COVID.
For the commission's benefit, this is pretty much a parallel policy to what the county adopted. It's something all government entities are following this track. You certainly don't want employees coming in and infecting others who are up against a shortage of leave and can't afford to go without pay.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, Judy.
My question's kind of related to that. Does this apply strictly to COVID issues, or are other health issues eligible for this?
It's just COVID, correct? It's just COVID.
Any other questions of Larry? All right. Let's call a roll.
Alford,
Aye.
Anthony,
Yes.
Edmondson,
Yes.
Fletcher,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Larios, Mon,
Yes.
McCaleb,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Patel,
Yes.
Patterson, Rubio, Scambler, Shockley, Smith,
Yes.
Tolan, Woodruff.
All right, thank you. That concludes the business portion of our meeting. Larry, I will turn it to you for actually, I guess we go staff reports next, I guess.
Yes, the
Yeah,
libraries.
yep, library staff reports. So Larry, I'll let you call on your staff.
Sure. At this point, we have the monthly statistics in front of you. Were there any questions about any of the activity that was connected to it? We have had a slight decline in the number of cardholders or new cardholders, and we can't completely, but we partially have an understanding of why that has occurred during this last few months. Is we give out what is called the one card to many of the students of the Oklahoma County school system, and as their population rises or shrinks, the number of cards we have out rises and shrinks with it. So we think that some portion, if not a great majority, of the gap between where we were and where we're at, which is we've lost approximately 10,000 cardholders, we believe that most of that is the changes in school enrollment, because when the student is no longer enrolled, then that card that we give them is no longer valid. So that would cause cards to cancel. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
The offer I made when I served on the commission before was that, we have Fury Mondays with 500 people sitting around just across the street waiting to call. And to your point, a lot of people don't know about the resources of the library. And they're just sitting there waiting for maybe 8 hours to get called up into the jury room. And I made the offer to the predecessor to come over with an iPad and sign people up for a library card. That pretty captive audience.
Thank you for the suggestion.
So to speak, yeah.
Really offered the offer. So we want to, and I brought with me today Aaron Moore, who's the field representative for me now. That's different than the one I had before. And so we could interface with your office to carry out what you want to do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Aaron, thank you. Welcome. Appreciate you. Larry, you want to go ahead and wrap out your executive interim, well, now your executive director's report? Well, I guess not till the first, but.
Not technically, but, I did, my written statement to the commission to review. There are two things I want to add to it, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. The first I previewed a little bit already. I'm going to be making a tour through all of the locations, starting on the 28th of January, and between January 28th and February 5th. I will make my way through all 20 facilities through the system, giving employees an opportunity to discuss with me whatever issues that they may have on hand. I'm also planning on making a second run with the Public Services Administration staff in mid-February, where we're going to do in-depth visits at locations to look for public service improvements, to look for and understand how the libraries are functioning, so that we can bring together a better way or a better approach to providing public service. It's one of our mainstays. It's the way what keeps us connected to the community is the quality of our public service. It is the predominant way that people are connected to us. And so I want to work with the public services staff and the staff at the location to find the best ways that we can look to serve the customers at each of our communities. The other thing I want to announce was actually a late-breaking piece of good news, which we all could use, I think, at times. One of our employees was stopped by a story-time parent at a grocery store and was given a very positive response about the library's response to the pandemic. She said the MLS was the gold standard in OKC for keeping citizens safe during the pandemic. She appreciated the library's willingness to roll back phases in response to the increased cases, as demonstrated flexibility and responsiveness to the community. She works in healthcare and expressed how hard it's been seeing places compromise on safety, but she knows that the library was taking things seriously and that we really cared about people's health. And she passed that along as compliment for how well the libraries responded to COVID. And we do get those kind of comments on a semi-regular basis, but this was the most recent one.
Outstanding.
Were there any other questions about my monthly report?
All right, hearing none, we'll continue. Dr. Kane will be back with us. She promises me in February. Mark Moment promised me she would be back in February. The current standing committee list was attached to your packet. If you see some changes or if you want to express an interest in another committee, please reach out to Maria. She will assist you in that and getting it brought forward. Any comments from commission members before we call it a day? Anyone? All right. If you've got some future agenda items, please bring those forward as well. Our next meeting will be February 18th. We will be back here in the auditorium. Ralph Ellison's going to host us. And with that, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all.